to you about immigration and what you might do about it. But before we take you through some of the issues for the future, just as I did with Mr. Starmer, Sakir, just as I did with Mr. Sunak, I want to talk about your record. Now, you're not been in office, so you don't have a record, but you do have a record of judgments, important judgments you've made. Let's look at the man who you said was the statesman you most admire.
No, I said
Vladimir Putin.
Hang on a second. I said I disliked him.
But you said you admired him.
I said I disliked him.
But you admired him.
As a person, but I admired him as a political operator because he's managed to take control of running Russia.
Well, the quote was right, the statesman you most admired. And you did it after he seized Crimea.
This is about the same time. Maybe before. No, before. Actually before. This is the nonsense. You can pick any figure, current or historical, and say, did they have good aspects? And if you say, well, they were very talented in one area, then suddenly you're the biggest supporter.
You're right about that, Mr. Farage, and I'm not making that point. Of course, we could take anything you say out of context. I'm doing it for a different reason. You want to be Prime Minister. That's what you want to be. And this is, Europe is at war. Now, when the war happened, the big war, when Vladimir Putin sent his troops across the border in 22, you blamed the West, not him. You said, I'll just read it to you and then you can react, that on a tweet, it was a consequence of EU and NATO expansion. Is that a judgment you stand by?
Right. I'll tell you what you don't know. I stood up in the European Parliament in 2014 and I said, and I quote, there will be a war in Ukraine. Why did I say that? It was obvious to me that the ever eastward expansion of NATO and the European Union was giving this man a reason to his Russian people to say they're coming for us again and to go to war.
But you were echoing him.
I was, sorry.
You were echoing him. That's what Putin says.
No. Sorry, I've been saying this actually since the 1990s. Ever since the fall of the wall. But hang on a second. We've provoked this war. It's, of course it's his fault. He's used what we've done
we provoked the invasion of Ukraine.
Yes, and very interestingly, once again, 10 years ago when I predicted this, by the way, I'm the only person in British politics that predicted what would happen. And of course, everyone said I was a pariah for daring to suggest it. George Robertson, former Labour cabinet minister, who went on to become the Secretary General of NATO, has in the last couple of weeks said the war is a direct result of EU expansion.
But I'm asking you about, because it's your judgment, you want to be Prime Minister. Let me ask you about someone else.
My judgment has been way ahead of everybody else's in understanding this.
I want to ask you about another leader that you've said you have admired. Let's take a look at Liz Truss.